Good morning, sixth graders. Since I am not there today, thought it would be easiest to kind of just send you a video here and kind of explain what it is that we're doing. And then the other part of this video, the longer part, is you're actually going to do class notes with me on this video. You'll just listen to them and you'll have a sheet that you're going to fill in the blanks for just 2 slides today, just to get us started. So let me go through and just talk about the agenda of what it is that you're going to do today. But before I even get into that, let's just kind of talk about our reminders of when I'm not here, right? So my expectation is that you're getting work done. We're doing things that we would have done whether I when I was here. Okay, might not have been on today on Thursday, but we would eventually have been doing these. So this is not just throwaway busy work. This stuff we're gonna need. So it's important that we're doing it. Two, make sure that you're staying on task. Okay. And three, be flexible. Remember, the substitute teacher doesn't know how the room runs. And so just go with the flow and listen and follow the directions of the substitute teacher. And you guys will be good. I'm not worried about it. And I look forward to seeing some of you in advisory because I'm just gone in the morning. So I'll be back by advisory. And those that I don't have an advisory, I'll see you tomorrow because I'll be back on Friday. All right, so the agenda. So there are 3 things that you're going to be working on. The first one, which is part of this video, is to go through and do the class notes. Okay, and so if the substitute teacher doesn't give you the handout because you're filling in blanks, just like we did in the last unit, um, make sure you ask for it before you start the video part of the notes. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second thing, then, when you're done with the notes, there are rock vocabulary cards that we are going to do for this unit because there are just a lot of new vocabulary words and they're important to understand the concepts and how rocks form. And so it's critical that you know these words. And so we're going to actually do vocab cards. You'll have the option of using the doc that I have posted in Google Classroom, or if you just want to use regular index cards, you can. And I even left some extra ones up on my desk that the teacher can give you. Third thing, then, if you get done with both of those, is to work on your homework, which is an ed puzzle. So there is homework tonight. It's an ed puzzle that is due tomorrow about rocks. It's short, it's less than 4 minutes. So even if you don't finish it in class, you can easily finish it in advisory today before you go home. All right. All right, so now it's going to look weird because I recorded the other part of this video, like with the notes and showing you Google Classroom and stuff. I did that in school before I left today, and so I'm going to be back in the clothes that I was wearing yesterday on Wednesday. Right now, it's Wednesday night when I'm recording this, and I'm at home, obviously. So it's going to look a little bit different. So don't get weirded out. That's the way it's supposed to go. But I will. I'm sure you guys are going to do great with all this stuff, and I will see you on Friday if I don't see you in advisory later. Okay, bye. All right, now that you're here at Google Classroom, obviously you already saw we have a new category here, rocks, in Google Classroom under classwork. You'll notice 2 other things that are here. On mine, obviously the video isn't here yet because I'm making the video. So you'll have 3 things in there, including this video. But homework, which you might have a chance at the end of class to get started on and maybe even finish. There is an ed puzzle about rocks, and it is due tomorrow on Friday, so make sure you get that done. One of the things you're going to do after we do the notes here in the video is to work on classwork, these rock vocabulary cards. So there is a document there that you can use. That document will go through and it's set up like cards. There's 2 columns for you that you can use for these cards, like study cards, vocab cards, or I have a bunch of index cards on my desk up at the front. Please go up and the substitute will either offer them to you. If not, you can go up and politely ask if you can borrow some index cards. You do not need to do all of them today. Repeat, you do not need to do all of them. If you can get somewhere between 8 to 10 of them done today, you're in good shape. Okay, 8 to 10 is all you need to do for today. To find the vocab definitions, you're going to use these books. Okay, these books, pages 9 through 12, it tells you that in Google Classroom here. When you click on the assignment, use blue books, page 9 to 12 in here. The words are bolded for you. Oops, sorry. Words are bolded for you, and so they're super easy to find. Remember, you're not doing all of them, about 8 to 10 of them. And then after that, you can work on the homework. Before you get to that, though, I want to go through and talk about the notes. So, if you have not received the sheet for our guided notes that looks like this, pause the video, raise your hand, or go up and ask the teacher for one of these. You need this to be able to do the next part. So if you need to, pause the video and then come back. Otherwise, let's go in and let's talk about these notes. All right? Okay. Hold on. There we go. Lost myself for a moment. Okay. On your paper, we're just going to do 2 slides today. Okay, we're going to do 2 slides. The notes are set up exactly the way we did notes in our mineral unit. So your piece of paper will match my slide, except there's going to be blanks where you have to write in a word or a phrase. If I move too fast, because you're a little bit slower writing in because you're checking spelling and all that stuff, totally fine. Hit the pause button on the video and then unpause it. Okay, don't fall behind because I'm moving too fast when you have the ability to pause your video. All right, here we go. Igneous rocks. Igneous rocks form by the solidification or crystallization of melted minerals. So the 2 blanks that you are filling in, solidification and melted. No, I'm sorry, minerals. Melted's already there, just minerals. So 2 words, solidification and minerals. So remember, this is very familiar to one of the ways that minerals formed as well. Minerals formed when there was magma or lava that was cooling, and this is almost the same thing, okay? Except there's lots of minerals in there at once, and so you can't call it a mineral when there's a bunch of minerals all in this material together. We call it a rock, and specifically, it's an igneous rock. Now, we're going to learn about 2 groups of igneous rocks, or what we call subgroups. The first one is an extrusive igneous rock. And so take a look at your notes. It says at the surface, lava hardens to form extrusive rocks with tiny crystals or glassy, no crystal textures. So based off of that, take a look at your sheet. You are writing in the word lava, extrusive, glassy. Lava, extrusive, and glassy. Remember, pause the video if you need to. Okay, so what that means is when this melted material comes up onto the surface above the ground, we call that lava. When it hardens, it's an extrusive igneous rock. Right? Remember, all igneous rocks form from this hard stuff that actually will go through and harden and cool and harden. But if it happens above ground, on the surface, we call those extrusive igneous rocks. They cool faster. Okay, they cool faster, and we'll talk about why later, but they cool faster. So they have small crystals, or they can even appear to be glassy looking. Okay, so that would make them, the glassy ones would be almost like smooth too then, right? The other type of igneous rock is if the magma hardens beneath the surface. It never reaches up above the ground. And if that happens, then we call those intrusive rocks with easily visible crystal texture. So on your document, you're writing beneath the surface, magma hardens to form intrusive, you're writing the word intrusive, rocks. easily visible crystal texture, meaning that it's easy for us to see it. Okay. So you're going to have to remember that. And here's my clue to help you remember. Extrusive means that the stuff has exited the ground. And so it's formed above the surface, above ground. Extrusive, exiting out. Intrusive, inside, beneath the surface, inside of Earth, right? Inside of Earth's layers beneath the surface. Intrusive, beneath the surface, extrusive, above the surface. And because of those two different locations of where these igneous rocks cool and harden, it causes them to be a little bit different. Okay? It causes them to be a little bit different. So let's go through next and go to the next slide and talk about the differences between intrusive and extrusive rocks. All right, so let's start with intrusive igneous rocks. So these are the ones that form beneath the surface, the ones that we talked about last there on the previous slide. So we already put in there that they have visible crystals. So you are writing that whole bullet down, visible crystals. Visible crystals, I will show you some examples when I'm back in class, but that just means that they are easily visible to us, that we can see them. It almost gives like a sparkle to the surface. Which then means another characteristic of intrusive igneous rocks is that they can have a sparkling surface because of these visible crystals. So on your paper, you're writing in sparkling surface. And again, pause it if I'm moving too fast. And then the third characteristic of intrusive igneous rocks is that they cool very slowly. The reason they cool slowly, guys, is because of where they form. They form beneath the surface. And I'm not sure if you know this, but as you go deeper into Earth, it gets warmer. Right? The deeper you go, the warmer it gets. And so if these rocks are actually forming beneath the surface, it's a little bit warmer beneath the surface. And so because the magma is really hot and the temperature is kind of hot, it takes a long time for it to cool because there's not a big temperature difference. So it slowly cools. It cools very slowly. To cool slow. Because of this, that allows these big crystals to form because they need time. And because it's a longer period of time for these to cool down, it allows those crystals to grow so that we can see them. And having those crystals gives the appearance of a sparkling surface. Okay, let's go to the extrusive. These all just popped up. So I'm going to go one at a time here. Again, you're writing all these down. In fact, let's do this so that you're listening to me. Why don't you pause the video, copy these in, and then come back and hit play, and I'll talk about them. Okay, so pause the video, write them down, and then come back. Pause it now. Okay, so let's talk about these now that you have them written in. So extrusive, they have characteristics of being lightweight. They can have a glassy appearance, which means that they have very little crystals and they're not really sparkling. They might have a bubbled texture or a porous texture. So what that means is when we're looking at a sample of an extrusive igneous rocks, we might see little holes in there, right? Bubbles would be caused because of gases that were in there when it was cooling, and so that causes holes in there. And that's what porous means. Porous is like holes. Like you have pores in your skin. Those are the little holes in your skin. So you have a porous texture for an extrusive igneous rock. And these happen because they cool fast. Intrusive slow, extrusive fast. And the reason they cool fast is because they're above the ground. Remember, extrusive exit out of the ground. They're above ground. And because they're above ground, the temperature difference between the air and that hot lava is great. It's a huge difference. And so it causes that to cool down really quickly. And when it cools down really quickly, you get these characteristics. There's not enough time for these crystals to grow. And if there's no crystals, you don't really have a sparkling surface. And so that's the big difference. And that's why scientists put these two groups for igneous rocks, intrusive and extrusive, because we see differences because of where they are formed. Now, one last thing before we're done here. I want you to recognize that even though these characteristics are on there and we put a couple for each of them, not every single igneous intrusive rock will have those three characteristics. And not every single extrusive rock will have those four characteristics. Okay, it doesn't apply to every single one of the rocks, but they'll have a couple of them. And the more that you see, the more that you can then make the conclusion of, oh, that must be an extrusive igneous rock, or that must be intrusive. But it doesn't mean that all of these are on each of them, of each of the rocks. Okay, we're going to stop there. Okay, at this point, you don't need the video anymore. You have two things to work on. You are now working on the vocab, and so you are either asking for some vocab cards if you want to handwrite them yourself, or you're going to go back to Google Classroom and use the doc that says Rock Vocabulary Cards, and you can type them. Remember, you are not doing all of them today. You are only doing somewhere between 8 to 10 of them, and you're using these books. If you finish that and there is still some class time left, go ahead and start your homework with your Ed puzzle. That is due by the time you come to school tomorrow morning. All right, I will see you guys tomorrow. Some of you I will see later today in advisory. Have a good rest of your day.